Every single year, about 30,000 Toastmasters in dozens of countries around the world decide to compete in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest. It's the largest, most prestigious public speaking competition in the world. And all of those competitors are vying to become the world champion of public speaking. However, every Toastmasters contest season follows a rule book with rules both big and small, but each one is critical to your contest success. Now, which contest rules should you keep in mind for 2021? I'm Aaron Beverly, and this is the 2021 International Speech Contest Rulebook. Let's talk about it. I know that guy. Disclaimer. This video was made for the intention of increasing awareness of the Toastmasters Rulebook and several key contest rules within it. Neither I nor this video should be considered an authoritative or exhaustive source on the International Speech Contest rules. If you are competing in the International Speech Contest, you are strongly advised to read the official rulebook for yourself. With that out of the way, let's start the video. So why is it important for you as a competitor to know the speech contest rules? Well, I think a better question is, how can you expect to win a game that you don't know the rules to? If you don't know the rules, you increase the chances that you are going to waste your time and likely embarrass yourself to boot. Having competed in the International Speech Contest from 2012 up to 2019, I speak from experience when I say that the contest rules are incredibly important to know. They can be the difference between you moving on to the next round or you being disqualified or deemed ineligible. And even though I've won the World Championship of Public Speaking already, I do still keep up to date with the changes to the rules because I have nothing else better to do from January to August now. This is a good time to talk about eligibility. To be eligible for the International Speech Contest, you must be a member of Toastmasters. And in order to be a member of Toastmasters, you must be at the age of 18 or older. This means that if you want to be in the contest, you must be old enough to drink. In most countries, unless you are in a weird country like the United States, where you have to be 21 to drink, but we still drink at 18 anyway. But that's not the point here. If you live in the US, do not drink until you're 21. Also, you must have completed a number of speeches before you can be deemed eligible to compete. Now, there is a caveat to this rule where if you are a member of a club that is brand new, you can compete in the contest regardless of these restrictions. Honestly, getting to the minimum requirement is not that difficult of a task. If you're eager enough and if your club meets frequently enough, you can get this done in a couple of months tops. Now, here's a curveball that throws off a few Toastmasters every single year. You must maintain your eligibility in every single round of the contest. This means from round 1 to the World Championship of Public Speaking, you must maintain your eligibility. To maintain your eligibility, you, 1, have to make sure that you have your dues paid to Toastmasters at all times you are competing in the contest. Secondly, you have to make sure that your club is in good standing with the Toastmasters organization in every single round of the contest. If your dues are not paid before you compete, you are deemed officially ineligible to compete. Also, if your club does not meet the minimum requirement for membership and they do not have their dues submitted to the Toastmasters organization in time before your contest, you will be deemed ineligible. Now, some of you sneaky little devils think you can get over on old Toastmasters, but just keep this in mind. If at any point Toastmasters finds out that you were ineligible to compete in any of your previous rounds, yes, even if you make it all the way to the World Championship of Public Speaking, you will be ineligible and disqualified on the spot. No questions asked. Bye-bye. Just remember to always make sure you are eligible to compete in every single round. But if you are eligible, you are free to go on and give your speech. And as you know, you can talk about any topic that you wish in the International Speech Contest. But there are some rules around speech content that you need to keep in mind. This leads us to speech subject and preparation rules. Not too long ago, there was somebody who reached out to me via email and they asked me the following. Aaron, I'm good when it comes to speech delivery, but I have trouble with speech writing. So I was thinking, could I pay you to write my speech, then I use it for the speech contest? Sincerely, Bob. Well, to answer your question live right here, Bob, no. It is my personal belief that you should be able to create your own speech if you are a speaker. Even if you don't like the process of writing the speech, then guess what? We live in modern times and technology has come a long way. You can still find a way to create the speeches that you want to give. Secondly, what you are suggesting is 1000% against the Toastmaster contest rules. Section 4D of the Toastmasters rulebook states, contestants must create their own speeches and each must be substantially original. To me, this means that ghostwriting is a big no-no. Another rule that Toastmasters has in place to ensure that your content is substantially your own is the rule around how much of other people's content you can use in your own speech through quotes or references. For example, you can only use 25% of your speech content for quotes or references to material that is not originally yours. And if you paraphrase or quote someone, you need to ensure that you clearly identify the creator. This means that if you want to quote Romeo and Juliet for 2 minutes of your speech, then there is a great chance that you can be disqualified for that. If you want to reference a couple of lines from Romeo and Juliet, then you can do that, but make sure that you quote Billy the Bard. If you don't quote Billy the Bard, some stickler to the Toastmaster rules will be able to argue that you should be disqualified. Now, have I seen people be this strict about the rules before? No, I personally haven't. Does that mean that it hasn't happened or that it cannot happen? Absolutely not. Keep in mind that 25% of your content devoted to referencing somebody else's material is still a lot. And even though you can do this, I strongly advise that you don't do it, even if you do accurately attribute it to the creator. Remember, originality is still a part of the contest judging criteria. However, there is a rule that supersedes the 25% limit. Theoretically, with this one rule, you can be disqualified for just a single line in your speech. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I am talking about the notorious Rule 4E. Contestants must not reference another contestant or a speech presented by another contestant from the platform at the same contest in which they are competing. In Toastmasters and public speaking, this is called a callback. And with this rule change, this means that you cannot use a callback or reference an opponent's material in any way, shape, or form if they are a participant in your specific speech contest. Now, this rule is absolutely huge, and it is one of the biggest changes to the contest that I have personally seen. So let's talk about this a little bit more and understand what it is and what it is not. Despite inaccurate claims made by former speech competitors and Toastmaster members alike, this is not a rule change that is eliminating all callbacks. For instance, if there is a keynote speaker at your conference who says a line that fits with your speech and your theme, then that speech, that line, is fair game to use as a callback. Just be sure to properly credit the source. If you want to reference a line or a speech from a previous year, like the #1 most overused callback in all of Toastmasters history,
I see something in you, but I don't know what it is.
that is fair use. This rule is only preventing you from using callbacks or references from speech competitors who are competing directly against you. This was a rule that was put in place to eliminate the unfair advantage that speakers who went later in the contest had. A competitor who went last in the contest would be able to use any of the speech material or references of any of their opponents who went before them. Obviously, the first competitor would not have that same advantage. And if you will allow me to get on my soapbox for just a moment, I absolutely love this change to the contest rules. This may be an unpopular opinion, but I applaud the change because not only did it level the playing field for all of the contestants in a Toastmaster contest round, but it also addressed a problem that was becoming more apparent in the Toastmaster speech contest. I remember attending a speech contest one year where one of the contestants was completely demoralized because he had drawn the first speaker slot. But he wasn't demoralized because he thought that he would be forgotten or that he would face a stricter judging pool. No, his problem was that he didn't want to go first because it would allow his opponents to use callbacks from his speech. My personal issue with callbacks that are used in the speech contest nowadays is that the callbacks are just used for cheap laughs. The callbacks aren't used in a genuine way to provide genuine value. It's just used as a way to show off. Hey, did you hear what I just said? My opponent said that. Oh, you must applaud me and reward me for that because I am so clever. I don't know where the accent came from. Contestants try to impress and sway the judges and the audience with the ability to think on their feet, which, mind you, is not in the judging criteria. However, while I believe that this contest rule change was needed to stop the egregiously cheap callbacks, I do believe that the rule has some limitations that may cause some confusion down the line. For starters, I don't think that this rule goes into enough detail about what makes a disputable reference. For example, let's pretend that this rule applied to the 2014 World Championship of Public Speaking. Dan Ajaya uses his line, "I see something in you, but I don't know what it is." Does that mean that I can't use any part of that phrase now? If so, that could be a problem because the phrase, "I see something in you," is actually a fairly common phrase that is used in the English language. In my opinion, the rules should stress that the dispute should be of a reference that is unique. Ways a reference can be unique, I believe, can be done through the cadence, the emphasis on certain words, the context in which the phrase is used, and the use of the entire phrase. If you were to say, "I see something in you," in my opinion, that is fair use. If you say, "I see something in you, but I don't know what it is," that's likely going to be disputable. Another factor that I think should be taken into account is if there was clear intent to use a callback. In a Toastmaster speech contest, if somebody uses a callback, you know about it because the callback would be greatly emphasized and there would be a very deliberate pause to get the audience to react to what was just said. These are just a couple of signs that a callback was intended to be used. And if it happens now with these new rule changes in place, that could be a disqualifiable offense. I think that a simple clarification of this rule with your contest officials will be a great benefit to not only you, but the contest officials too. Because I know I may sound cynical, but I don't want the contest to be plagued by those people with a win at all cost mentalities who will try to get their opponents disqualified because of some nonsense. I demand that all of my speech competitors be disqualified immediately. On what grounds? They said the word Toastmasters after I said the word Toastmasters. Now let's talk about time. When it comes to timing, it should be straightforward, right? Make sure that your speech is within the time limit. You even have timing cues that will let you know how much time you have left in your speech. It should be an easy to follow rule, right? Well, not so fast. Here's a fun fact. Out of all of the reasons why competitors get disqualified every single year, the number one reason is timing. Your speech can be a minimum of 4 minutes and 30 seconds or a maximum of 7 minutes and 30 seconds. If your speech is 7 minutes and 30.1 seconds long, you will be disqualified. If your speech is 4 minutes and 29.9 seconds long, you will be disqualified. But honestly, does anybody actually know somebody who got disqualified for the minimum time limit? Let me know in the comments below because I am really curious about that. One other point on timing rules is a rule that actually very rarely goes into effect, but it is important to remember regardless, and that is Rule 6G7. In the event of a technical failure of the signal or timing equipment, a speaker is allowed 30 seconds extra overtime before being disqualified. Now you may think that that isn't all that important, but keep this in mind. That rule was the difference between a former champion going home with the trophy and going home with nothing. It's very rare, but important to remember. Honestly, I could talk to you for hours about the speech contest rules, but I don't want to. So I implore you, if you are competing in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest, read the rule book for yourself. And I mean, why wouldn't you? It has such a beautiful cover. In the end, make sure you're eligible, make sure that your content is original, and for the love of everything that is holy, stay within the time limit. Today's question for the comment section: will you be competing in this year's contest? What do you think about the new rule changes? Do you like them or do you absolutely despise them? Let me know and let's start that conversation in the comments below. And if you found this remotely useful, do subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this with a friend who you think can use this content. But that's all for now, my friends. It is time to read the quote of the day. Learn the rules like a pro, so you can break them like an artist. Pablo Picasso. Seriously though, please don't break the rules. Take care.